residents of Kuwait were working as pearl divers and in naval trade between India and Arabia. This helped to turn Kuwait into a commercial hub in the northern Arabian Gulf. Kuwait also became a main port for the Arabian Peninsula and Mesopotamia. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Kuwait maintained its independence from colonial powers. However, the situation changed in 1870 when the Ottoman Empire began expanding towards the south. The late Emir Sheikh Mubarak al-Sabah, the seventh ruler of the state of Kuwait, and known as Great Mubarak, requested British protection in September 1897 due to differences with the Ottoman state. His request was declined by the British government on the pretext that it was unnecessary to intervene in the region. However, the British government changed its position and agreed on signing an agreement on the 23rd of January 1899. One of the most prominent features of the agreement was that Sheikh Mubarak should not accept any agent or representatives of any foreign country without the British government's consent. Sheikh Mubarak also agreed that Britain may assign a commissioner in Kuwait. The commissioner was Captain Knox, who arrived to Kuwait in August 1904.
1899, the Sheikh Mubarak, the ruler of Kuwait, signed a defense agreement with Britain, 1899, to help him against the Ottoman Empire, to help him against some attempt to destabilize Kuwait, attempts to encroach upon the territory of Kuwait, attempts to try and take some parts of Kuwait, and that's one. In return for Britain's responsibility for the foreign affairs of Kuwait, to handle diplomacy, foreign diplomacy of Kuwait. And that at that time, taking the situation which Sheikh Mubarak faced, it is a wise step. And this agreement of 1899 saved Kuwait from that date until 1961, and contained tribal encroachment on Kuwait territory, chased out raiders, chased out aggressors, put an end to intervention of the Oman, of the Sultanate or of the Ottoman Empire, and Sheikh Mubarak felt safe. And this is really a major reason for the expansion of Kuwait. He went south, occupied the south, expanded Kuwait territory, and he was wise in diplomacy. He was very wise, and that's it. In the Second World War, First World War, the raids of what we call the Oman, Bindawish, when they tried in the 1920-21. So British were able to chase them out. And that was really a fundamental role of Britain in keeping and maintaining and protecting Kuwait independence.
Since 1899, Kuwait protected from Germany, from Ottoman Empire, from Russia. At that time, they were close to Kuwait to take Kuwait. So British interfere, and according to the treaty between us and them, it was signed in 1899. Since that time, of course, when Abdul Karim Qasim threatened to take Kuwait, and the British, the first who they send their troops there.
In 1990, Britain responded to a second emir's request from the late Sheikh Jabir for military support, fulfilling its commitment to Kuwait once again by deploying armed forces. Britain was under Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. She played a leading role in securing a UN mandate for an international coalition to be formed for the liberation of Kuwait.
In 1990, when Saddam invaded Kuwait, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, the British and Lady Thatcher, she's the one who pushed George Bush. She pushed the wall. She spoke a lot of time about how important to have Kuwait independence and not Iraq swallow Kuwait.
Kuwait took advantage of this treaty to build and strengthen the bases of the modern state. This treaty provided foreign political stability and protection from external threats and greed, which has made this foreign stability an internal constructive factor. Rulers of Kuwait were able to take care and build the state after they got rid of any concerns of external factors. Therefore, schools were built like Mbarkiya and Al Ahmadiyya. The Shura Council was established in 1921. The first election of municipality was held in 1932. The Legislative Council in 1938. Health and Education Councils were established in 1936. The Public Security Department was established in 1938. The Orphanage Department in 1939. Also, His Highness Sheikh Ahmed Al-Jabr signed an agreement with American and British companies to explore oil in 1934 and other issues and things practiced by Kuwaitis. The discovery of oil in 1939 and its first export in 1947 changed the fortunes and future of the state of Kuwait. From the 60s well into the 80s of the last century, Kuwait experienced a period of oil-driven prosperity, which allowed the country to fashion a cradle-to-grave welfare state, catering to every need of its citizens, providing them with lavish subsidies and offering free childcare, education, health, housing, and job security. The immense oil wealth also propelled major public work programs that transformed the landscape of the country and allowed Kuwaitis to enjoy a modern and unprecedented standard of living. The era of His Highness Sheikh Abdullah Al Salem was the real set-off on the path of independence. His Highness took vigorous steps towards establishing an independent constitutional state. In 1950, His Highness worked on issuing laws and legislations which supported the establishment of an independent state, like nationality and judiciary organization laws in 1959, monetary law in 1960. Fatwa and legislation departments were established in the same year. Government departments were organized, and the other laws and regulations which were considered pillars of the state. Due to the abundance of many factors that contributed directly and indirectly in Kuwait's independence, either internally or externally, internal voices of concerns were raised calling for independence, which made Sheikh Abdullah Al Salim play an effective role in investing in the information to declare Kuwait's independence. Therefore, he expressed to Britain Kuwait's desire to end the British Protection Treaty and replace it with other arrangements suitable for the political development in the country and the Arab and international realm. He also reiterated the importance of respecting the Kuwaiti desire for full independence. For more than 6 decades before attaining independence in 1961, Kuwait was a protectorate of the British Empire, in line with an agreement inked in 1899 between the ruler Sheikh Mubarak al-Sabah and the British government in India to ward off potential threats to Kuwait's independence from the Ottoman Empire.
Protecting Kuwait, as I said, since 1899. The treaty, we signed it between Queen Victoria and Sheikh Mubarak, and signed it instead of Victoria. Queen Victoria signed it Viceroy Lord Curzon of India. At that time, he is Viceroy. Since that time, Britain pledged at that time when they were empire, they pledged to protect Kuwait from any outside threat. And they are loyal and faithful. And when Abd Karim Qasim, when the treaty in 1913, and the Treaty of 29, and the Treaty and Qasim, and of course when Iraq invaded Kuwait, also when Saddam Hussein threatening to invade Kuwait, British, the first country, they said to him, they said, if you are close to Kuwait, we will throw you in the sea. And they were serious about these things. Their ships, British ships, moved to Kuwait to protect any threat against Kuwait. So we are glad with this relation with the United Kingdom. And we want to continue with this good relation.
Kuwait enjoys a close relationship with the United Kingdom, otherwise known as the UK, dating back to the Anglo-Kuwaiti Agreement at the turn of the 20th century, which established the Gulf country as a British protectorate to combat any potential aggressive moves by the Ottoman Empire to the north. This long-standing relationship, underpinned by commercial relations forged during Britain's colonial rule in India, has been superseded by a far more balanced relationship, characterized on the one hand by Kuwait's substantial direct investment in the UK through its sovereign wealth fund, and on the other hand by valuable trading ties owing much to the UK's provision of financial and professional services to Kuwait. Also, the Kuwait-British Friendship Society regularly meets both in Kuwait and the United Kingdom. The Society has a clear focus on fostering a positive and constructive relationship between the two countries at a political, commercial, and cultural level. Since its foundation, the Society has attracted a strong and dynamic network of members with shared values and goals. The late Sheikh Abdullah negotiated the British withdrawal from Kuwait in 1961, which predated by nearly a decade similar moves in other Gulf states. Though Kuwait's independence celebrations were short-lived because British commitment to Kuwait continued beyond Kuwait's independence in 1961. In that very year, Iraqi leader Abdul Karim Qasim was becoming increasingly vocal about demands to incorporate Kuwait into Iraq. And by June 1961, Britain moved forces into Kuwait as part of a defense agreement. It was at this point that Sheikh Abdullah's unique characteristics shone through. Britain responded to the late Emir's request for military support, fulfilling its commitment to Kuwait by deploying armed forces amounting to half a brigade under Operation Vantage. Saudi Arabia also came to Kuwait's aid during the days of the late King Saud bin Abdulaziz.
Well, we have a good relations. We have, as a matter of fact, we have excellent relation with the United Kingdom. We have many students, thousands of students. They jump from 350, I remember them now, to around 90,000. So it is a big, and we have Kuwaiti tourists. There are so many Kuwaiti tourists. That's what they easing up the visa situation with Kuwait. A visa now you can get it in 2 days instead of waiting for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And we have also the people who they went there for a medical checkup or medical situation. So many Kuwaitis went there, plus businessmen, of course, plus United, the investments there. We have so many people. As a matter of fact, Sheikh Abdullah Salim, it shows the excellent relation between United Kingdom and Kuwait. Of Sheikh Abdullah Salim opened the office in United Kingdom in 1953. So it shows how important for us as Kuwaiti, United Kingdom, and United Kingdom, how is important to Kuwait. They kept the relation very good. They received Sheikh Jabir al-Ahmed in very good and very historical receiver. And they gave him a good program. And the British and also the Gulf people, the Kuwaiti, were surprised with this receiver. Sheikh Sabah, late Sheikh Sabah, Allah yarhamah, Allah yarham Sheikh Jabir. Also, they were received, he was received in heroic situation. They love him, they love, that to give him a program. And so it shows, after Sheikh Abdullah Salim, that two of the Kuwaiti emirs were received warmly, respectfully, and in good situation by United Kingdom after the liberation of Kuwait. Oh, thank you. I just want to add, that Kuwaiti, they should preserve and they should reserve the relation between United Kingdom and Kuwait. They should do everything, to keep this relation between us and the United Kingdom, because British people, they are faithful, they are loyal, they are really faithful in their way of protecting Kuwait and to do everything to progress Kuwait. Our job was serve Kuwaitis and everywhere and serve the relation between us and United Kingdom. And we were very, very careful to understand the relation and to serve it. The end up, it's good and excellent relation between us and United Kingdom. We are giving the ambassador, since I became the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps for 20 years. So I advise the ambassadors what to do, how to do, and to receive the invitation. Very important, 7 important events that United Kingdom send it to the ambassador. So I push them to attend this, advise them to not to be away. You can put your calendar on this dates and not to travel, not to do anything, and to show them to your country. So because United Kingdom, these 7 events, all of them relate to Her Majesty the Queen, and now of course the King Charles III. So I advise the new ambassador, new high commissioners, not to be delayed or not to attend these events. And I'm proud of it, and I feel that should be to Kuwait. And I received from Her Majesty the Queen the decoration before GSM V, the Victorian's Order. It was a big one. And KPSG, I received it when I left. It shows for us as Kuwait, we are very proud of these decorations when I received them from the Queen of United Kingdom. It shows, how important this one. And I can tell you, Hadil, when things between us and United Kingdom, Her Majesty the Queen in Windsor Castle invited me with my wife to spend the whole evening until following day and then. And it shows that the ambassador or high commissioner who stays for quite time, I was staying for 5 years, for instance, 5 years in United Kingdom. She invited me to stay there in the castle. I stayed with my wife, with valet for me, lady in waiting for my wife, and she has the reception for us. Then black tie dinner. After black tie dinner, she showed me a big sword from here to there. It's a big one. She said that Sheikh Ahmed Al-Yaber gave it to one of her grandfathers. I think the big King George V. He received from her, and they like it. She showed it to me, and I came here to Kuwait. I asked them, do you know about this? They said no. Then Sheikh Sabah, in his historical visit, went there, and he saw it also. He saw his father sent this gift to her grandfathers.
In 1961, following discussions between Sheikh Abdullah al-Salam al-Sabah and the British chief political resident in the Arabian Gulf, Sir George Middleton, came to a mutual agreement to abrogate the protectorate status and grant Kuwait full independence. The actual independence of Kuwait was on the 19th of June, 1961, when His Highness the late Emir, Sheikh Abdullah al-Salam al-Sabah, exchanged two important memorandums with the British political residency in the Arabian Gulf, Sir William Loss. The memorandums contained the cancellation of the 1988 treaty, as it was incompatible with the sovereignty and independence of Kuwait, as well as relations between Britain and Kuwait continue on the basis of strong friendship.
The relation between Kuwait and United Kingdom started officially, not officially before that, during the East Dutch relations. But since 1899, Kuwait protected from Germany, from Ottoman Empire, from Russia. At that time, they were close to Kuwait to take Kuwait. So British interfere, and according to the treaty between us and them, it was signed in 1899. Since that time, of course, when Abdul Karim Qasim threatened to take Kuwait, and the British, the first who they send their troops there. In 1990, when Saddam invaded Kuwait, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, the British and Lady Thatcher, she's the one who pushed George Bush. She pushed the wall. She spoke a lot of time about how important to have Kuwait independence and not Iraq swallow Kuwait. We have a coordinator here, Ambassador Abdullah Bshara, who was the former GCC and the first one of GCC Gulf Cooperation Council side. It consists of many Kuwaitis and many British who they want to have to continue the good relation between the two countries, and they spread this in Kuwait and in United Kingdom. For instance, we were meeting Sheikh Mish'al a few weeks ago to talk about the relation. We were Abdullah Bashar, of course, Fahad al-Bahar, Darar al-Ghanim, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Mubarak, Badr Nasir al-Khrafi, Mohammed al-Naqi. Yani, there are so many places, the two of them, Kuwait and United Kingdom. We have these people who they can spread the good relation between us and United Kingdom. So it's helping us by establishing Mohammed al-Shaya also. Mohammed al-Shaya, who had two parties for us in United Kingdom. And Mohammed al-Shaya couldn't attend the last meeting because he was a big businessman, he was traveling a lot. But it shows that we love to keep this relations close and to serve it. And the British side and Kuwaiti sides are happy to see this situation growing faster.
Kuwait's independence was a new phase that made it enter the international community, according to a special Kuwaiti policy based on pursuing peace and achieving cooperation with different world states within the framework of brotherhood and friendship among nations. Kuwait's first step on the diplomatic and political arena was establishing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Consequently, an Emiri decree was issued on the 19th of August 1961 to establish a foreign department that should carry out foreign affairs of the state, as well as integrate Kuwait's government secretariat in the foreign department, which turned with the first ministerial formation into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Until 1961, and then Sheikh Abdullah Salim signed an agreement with the British for independence in 1961, and a few days later, Prime Minister of Iraq at that time claimed Kuwait as part of Iraq. On the ground, that was part. It was part of the Ottoman Empire, and Sheikh Abdullah invited the British to defend Kuwait, to assist him in defending Kuwait from Iraqi threat. They landed in Kuwait, 1961, in the first week of, I think, in July, end of July 1961, to defend Kuwait. And there was a big problem, I wrote a book on that. When the 61 British landed, UAR, that is United Arab Republic, Egypt, first defended Kuwait, supported Kuwait independence. But when the British landed, they asked for removal of British forces, British troops. Otherwise, Kuwait will never be a member of the Arab League. It will never be a member of the United Nations.
Kuwait then became an important player in the international family of nations, leveraging its growing surplus of oil wealth to become a major foreign aid donor. The Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development, which was founded in 1961, became an active supporter and enabler of development projects throughout the Arab world and beyond. Following its independence, Kuwait requested to join the Arab League during a meeting on the 23rd of June 1961.
Then, with Sheikh Abdullah and consultation among Kuwaitis and neutral parties, they agreed that Arab League force would come and sit in Kuwait as political deterrent, as you say. They have, this is really a curtain, political curtain that would defend Kuwait, or that will add political significance to the Kuwaiti Kuwaiti defense, Kuwaiti political ally. Arab League was an ally of Kuwait. And in that sense, Sheikh Abdullah Salim accepted. And the Arab League came, British went, they left 2000. And the Arab forces came, stayed here less than 2 years, and then they left because of the change of government in Iraq in February 1963. And then Kuwait became member of the United Nations.
Kuwait has witnessed many developments. Some of them were marked with calmness, while others distress, and some fell somewhere in between. The country thus has witnessed domestic, foreign, political, economic, security, and social challenges. It has not been spared of existential crises ever since its modern establishment after its independence. But Kuwait adapts and thrives in the face of all challenges.
Kuwait diplomacy became based on Arab cooperation, based really on Arabism, Arab unity, Arab support. That's why from 1961 to 1990, Kuwait diplomacy was pro-Arab, felt that the protection and the umbrella against any ambition was the Arab cooperation, Arab presence, Arab alliance, Arab union. In 19, of course, with the invasion, all this is not true. Unfortunately, Arab were divided. 11 Arab members either abstained or were absent or ran away. So the Kuwaitis realized that they cannot live without a deterrent, a party, a country, group of countries that would defend Kuwait. And that is what Kuwait signed with the NIC, signed with the Britain. So British really were absent from 62 or 61 to 1990, and then came. And so we are still, now we went back to what we call corner number one, when we and the British had
The new era of independence has imposed taking many new legal, constitutional, and diplomatic procedures, the most prominent of which was the issuance of an Emiri decree that calls for the general elections for a constituent assembly that was authorized and drafted into the state constitution. 9 months after the assembly's formation, the draft constitution of Kuwait was accomplished, consisting of 183 articles, and was presented to His Highness Sheikh Abdullah Al Salim, who ratified it and issued it on the 11th of November 1961. Moreover, the old flag of Kuwait, which was red and had the word Kuwait in the middle, was replaced with a new flag as an implementation of the Constitution's provision. The first parliamentary election was then held in Kuwait and chose 50 members representing 10 constituencies on the 23rd of January 1962. Then on the 29th of January 1963, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah Al Salam inaugurated the first National Assembly in the history of Kuwait. On the 30th of November 1961, the Security Council started to take into consideration Kuwait's requests to join the United Nations. On the 14th of May 1963, Kuwait got the approval and became the 111th member. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, who was the Minister of Foreign Affairs by then, delivered Kuwait's speech at the UN, which was a historic moment for Kuwait, as appreciation for the great role by the late Emir Sheikh Abdullah Al Salam in Kuwait's independence and laying down the foundation of a modern state. A decree was issued in 1963 to integrate the National Day holiday, coinciding with the ascension to the throne of His Highness the Emir in Kuwait during the year 1950. Few leaders in the world have a legacy as profound as Kuwait's Sheikh Abdullah Al Salam, who ruled the Gulf state from 1950 to 1965. Not only did he usher in Kuwait's post-colonial era, but he boldly introduced democracy and freedom of expression to the Gulf. Kuwait had itself been a British protectorate between 1899 to 1961, a period that witnessed 2 world wars as well as various liberation movements from Africa to South Asia, who sought freedom from colonial powers. However, not all countries succeeded in achieving independence. On the academic side, Kuwait University was established in 1966 and is a beacon of academic excellence that has drawn students from all across the Arab world. On the cultural front, theater, art, and literature flourished, and the media in Kuwait was described as one of the freest and most outspoken in the region. Liberal ideas, as well as a Western ideology, was visible in society during this period. It is due to Kuwait's Emir, Sheikh Abdullah Al Salam Al Sabah, and to the founding fathers of the nation, who crafted a versatile constitution for the country that Kuwait continues to remain an independent, democratic country committed to the principles enshrined in its constitution.